how to detach instantly, radically, healthily, without feeling guilty and without feeling empty. Now that you know the why it's hard to detach, in this video, let's talk about how to actually do it in a way that feels natural and not forced. I'm not gonna give you that just let go type of advice because letting go is not something you can force. You can't just decide to let go what you're still trying to survive and trying to attach to. You have to really see it why you were holding on in the first place. So here's the truth. Detachment doesn't start with letting go. It starts with returning to your source. Returning to yourself as your own source. Your own source of love, your own source of happiness, your own source of validation, your own source of recognition, everything that you need. You are your own source of your own reality. Because the moment you come back to your original operating system, which is your absolute self, like we talked about in the previous video, your self-sustaining system. Remember, detachment will not be something that you try to do or you're forced to do. It is something that automatically happens. Here's the truth. You only cling when you identified with the false self because that version of you is hungry. It doesn't know how to generate its own energy. It only knows how to feed off others. It's only know how to depend their worth to others, to other people or situations or things. When you are in that mode, everything becomes a source. People, love, attention, success, even pain and suffering. And every time you disconnect from those source, from one source, your false self starves as you immediately search for another to keep it alive. Did you notice yourself whenever you lost someone, you are trying to find another one to be your new source of, for example, love or attention or belonging or validation? You immediately find someone to replace that source and you continue the cycle, the loop of chasing after something that you want. First, you have to realize and learn to do is to feel it, to just feel it. You cannot detach from something that you are still denying. You have to feel the pull, feel the craving, feel the yearning, feel that part of you that clings, see how it clings and see how it works because that's not weakness. That's your false self screaming for survival because it's starving, it's hungry, it's scared because it thinks that if you stop chasing, if you stop clinging to those things, you will die. But you won't die. Only it will, the false self. Then that is when you can finally observe the one who is clinging. When you don't fight when the attachment arises and don't label it as weakness or don't shame it, you now have a clear perception to observe your emotional and mental state. Clear perception means that you have now the ability to like observe yourself, your feelings, your emotions, your patterns and attitudes without bias. You can now ask yourself, who's the one that's clinging right now? Is it my absolute self, my true self, or my false self? If it's the false self, you will notice a specific sensation. It feels like a panic. Like if you lose this person, this job, this validation, this thing, you will lose yourself. That is your indicator that you are running on a wrong system, that you base your worth, your self-worth into something that is outside of you. And the moment you notice that, you don't need to do anything dramatic. You just see it. Because awareness itself cuts the power supply of illusion. After you feel it, observe it with a clear lens, now you have the opportunity to study it. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? What am I really afraid will happen if I let this go? What version of me am I trying to protect or prove right? What need am I outsourcing that I can actually create from within? This is where your self-awareness becomes your weapon. When you study your attachment like data, without the shame, without the bias lens, without the story, you start seeing the mechanism instead of the drama. You realized, oh, I'm not actually attached to this person or thing. I am attached to who I think I am when I'm with them. I am attached to the dreams that we made. I am attached to the idea of love. I am attached to the idea of the future we are going to make. And that right there, that realization cuts the cord almost instantly because you now have the clarity to perceive what is really happening in the reality and not only what you think is happening, what you feel. You're not drowning in your own emotions and in your own illusions and delusions. Reclaim your energy from that projection. When you attach to someone or situations or anything, you project a part of yourself onto it. You attach yourself. You attach your identity, your worth onto it. You make it the container of your worth, your love, your peace, your identity. You make it your emotional home. Instead of you being your own emotional home, you make another person your emotional home. That is why when they walk away, it feels like nothing because you didn't put anything to yourself. You put everything to the other person. You attach almost all your identity to the other person. So when you lose it, it feels like you lost you. But the truth is, they were just holding your energy that you give away, energy that you put outward instead of cultivating it inside you. The practice is simple but surgical. You just have to call it back, to call your energy back. Say to yourself internally and clearly, and it will not work if you don't realize it yourself, if you don't believe it yourself. So you have to embody this energy. I reclaim my energy from this person, from this situation, from this illusion, from this thing. You have to reclaim whatever you put outward just because you think it will be the best investment and you will wait for the return of investment. No, that's not going to happen. Protect your energy and center it to yourself and cultivate that energy within yourself, not put it outward. Give it to people and situations and things that will just walk away one day, that have their own choices and their own decisions in life. That is you rerouting your energy back into your self-sufficient system. And then that is when you're going to reconnect with your absolute self, with your core, with your true self. This is the key part that people skip. They detach, but they don't reroute. If you don't reconnect to your own source, detachment turns into numbness or avoidance. Like you will just a parasite that is waiting for another host to cling into. And that is not mastery. That is shutdown. That is dependency. You are the prisoner of your own toxic cycle. So after you learn to reclaim your own energy, sit with yourself. Literally sit with yourself. Breathe into your body. Feel your own presence. Learn to be comfortable with your own self, with the silence. Be comfortable with you doing nothing. And then feel your own company. Feel your own space. And realize that you are complete, that you don't need external input to sustain your own being. You don't need love from other people so you can feel loved. You don't need validation from other people so you can feel validated. You don't need recognition from other people so you can be recognized because you are your own source. You must realize that yourself because whatever it is that people say to you that you must do, if you do that without processing it, without realizing it, without having your inner knowing, it will be useless. So when you learn to do that, that is when detachment transforms from a defense mechanism to a divine alignment. You are not detaching because you are afraid. You are detaching because you have clarity. And then to lock in your energy that you call back, to cultivate your energy, learn to create from it. Now, here is where all transforms. When you stop feeding your false self, you will feel empty at first. That space is not emptiness. It's a space for your real self to breathe, a space for your real self to expand on, to cultivate. So instead of trying to fill that space again with someone or something new, create from it, expand yourself from it. Write about it, turn it into something that you can create a song, a story, a philosophy, wisdom, a movement. That's what I do. That's what I do right now. I expanded my wisdom from those experiences that I had and then sharing it with you. I turn my pain, my patterns, my realizations, the lessons that I learned into creation. That is how the real self, the absolute self expands. That's how you can expand. That is how you can use all your experience and the lessons that you've learned into greater person that you can be. And the best part is you no longer need to get over people or prove anything because you've already turned what you lost, what you have lost into life. You've turned that emptiness into something that translate your own being, that translate your own feelings and emotions and your experience. And then Witness yourself. Witness yourself doing it. Witness yourself expanding. When this finally clicks into your consciousness, detachment happens so fast, almost unnervingly fast. You'll notice how something that once consumed you now feels irrelevant. Not because you stop caring, because the false identity that cared so much, that clings so much to the idea or to the concept, is now gone. You don't detach from them. You detach from the illusions or who you were when you needed them. You detach from the idea or the dreams or the illusions of who you think you are, who you think you were, who you think you should be when you needed them, when you cling onto them. That is the secret that no one tells you. The moment you shift from your false identity, from your false self to your core self, to your absolute self, from the synthetic system to your self sustaining system, the attachment code becomes incompatible. It just deletes itself because it's no longer needed, it's no longer relevant to you. And then integration. Everything that you've learned from the first step up to now will all be useless if you cannot integrate it to your life. You must learn and practice the discipline and the art of staying detached in motion. True detachment is not isolation. It's not apathy. It's clarity. It's an interaction without dependency. You can love deeply, give fully, experience completely, but nothing owns you. You are not clinging to anything to make you you because you are already you, just experiencing the world. Because you have your own power, you have your own inner knowing that you complete you. And all of the interactions and experience and connections you have and you will have are your acts of existence. And existence means you are expressing your essence of who you are through what you do, through your choices, your actions, not because you need them to complete you, not because you need them to validate you or to recognize you that you exist, that you are enough. And through this, you expand yourself because how you expand yourself is through your own experience. And you cannot have experience here on earth if you are isolating yourself or detaching yourself because you are afraid that something might happen, you are afraid because you are too emotional or you are protecting yourself. No, that is why I'm showing you how you can detach so healthy and radically, not because you don't care, but because you have clarity and you have your inner knowing and clarity of what you can do and your choices and your power. You stay plugged into your own source so you never drain yourself trying to extract it from someone else, from other people. You have your own source of love, you have your own source of validation, you have your own source of recognition, you have your own source of energy. That is the real power, that's the emotional sovereignty, and that is what it means to be free. So the fastest way to detach isn't by fighting your emotions or cutting people off. It is by returning to the part of yourself that doesn't need anything to exist, that doesn't need anyone's permission to exist. That is your absolute self. That is your core and true self. The one who never stopped being whole, being complete by itself. When you reconnect to yourself, detachment stops being an effort and starts being your natural state. You don't need to stop caring, you just stop clinging. You just stop attaching your worth to someone else, to anything else, because now you are full again. You are whole again. You are rooted and you are home in your own home. If someone leaves, they will leave. They come and go, but you will always be inside your own home, which you completed, which you built. So if you want to detach healthy, radically, stop trying to cut cords. Start remembering. Start remembering who you are and center all your energy to yourself and cultivate those experience, your energy, and what you have into you. Because when you return to the one who was whole before the world touched you, you won't have to let go. You just let them do their thing, let them go, and let things happen. There will be nothing left to hold because nothing dictates your life but you. I hope this video gave you something real to reflect on, something help you to see yourself a little clearer today. If it did, I would love to read your comments below. And if it feels right for you, subscribe. I upload new videos every week to help you master your inner world so you can navigate your reality and create and live the life that you truly wanted. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.